afternoon. Today we've brought together local law enforcement leaders to talk about the preparations for the protest this weekend. I would like to introduce to you the Los Angeles Police Department Chief Jim McDonnell, the Los Angeles Sheriff's Department Sheriff Robert Luna. We also have with us the Deputy Commissioner Ezery Beauchamp from the California Highway Patrol. We have the Los Angeles Fire Department Captain Eric Scott and the Incident Commander who's been overseeing the federal protest, Commander Ryan Whiteman. With that, we'll begin with Chief McDonnell.
Well, thank you, and thank you all for being here today. The Los Angeles Police Department is fully prepared for the planned demonstration scheduled to take place across the city on Saturday, tomorrow. We're closely monitoring developments and deploying our personnel and resources strategically to protect public safety while safeguarding every individual's right to protest peacefully. Since the onset of the protests, we've seen fluctuations in arrest activity, with Sunday and Monday each surpassing 200 arrests per day. In response, a citywide curfew from 8 o'clock at night till 6 in the morning was put in place starting on June 10th and will remain in effect through the weekend. The curfew has played a key role in helping to restore order, particularly by curbing the criminal activity that was largely occurring during the evening hours. The LAPD continues to operate under a unified command with the California Highway Patrol, Los Angeles County Sheriff's Department, and the Los Angeles City Fire Department, as well as other public safety partners. The coordinated approach ensures that we're sharing intelligence, aligning resources, and responding quickly and effectively as conditions continue to evolve. Let me be absolutely clear on this. If you come to Los Angeles to exercise your rights peacefully, we are here to protect that. But if you come to our city with the intent to commit crimes, damage property, or harm others, including our officers, you will be arrested. We will not allow violence, vandalism, or threats to public safety to undermine the rights of those who are demonstrating lawfully. We're asking everyone who plans to participate in Saturday's event to do so peacefully and respectfully. Please adhere to the curfew, follow lawful instruction, and help us to ensure that the focus remains on the message and not on mayhem. Thank you.
Now we'll invite us Sheriff Luna.
Thank you all for being here to cover this. I'm going to go over several things because I'm obviously responsible for the entire county of Los Angeles, and there's a lot of information, there's a lot going on, and a lot that's going to happen. I do want to start off by thanking all of the deputy sheriffs and police officers that have been working around the clock for about the last week, all the employees and their families. There's a lot of sacrifice going on, and if I can just take you on a little journey for a second, when these deputy sheriffs and police officers are leaving their family, you can imagine the exchange of, I'm praying for you, I love you, please be careful tonight, because they have an extremely difficult job, and I don't ever want us and our community to forget that. And I also want to remind everybody that we are here to facilitate peaceful protests and demonstrations. A lot of our efforts are not to stop any of that activity. We are here collectively, as Chief McDonnell just talked about, we want to facilitate that, we want that to move forward. It's a good cause, but we do not want violent agitators out there destroying property or committing acts of violence, specifically against our police officers, deputy sheriffs, and CHP officers. And let me be clear, as the chief stated as well, that extreme violence is not going to be tolerated. And if we're not arresting you when it's occurring, what you're seeing, and I'm going to get a little bit into detail over the last couple of days, because that's what woke me up this morning, calls from people saying, hey, you guys are assisting this agency or that agency. What you're seeing out there in some of our communities is the individuals that are being identified that have committed acts of violence against all of our agencies, and we're going to come after you. That's going to continue. So if you're out there throwing rocks, Molotov cocktails, high-grade pyrotechnics, and all these other weapons, you're going to get caught and you're going to get arrested, and it may not be right away. So I just want to remind everybody of that. Our deputies have and continue to face a dangerous situation out there, and I just named some of the weapons that are there. And at least for our department, I have had 10 deputies injured. And I don't want to see any more police officers or deputy sheriffs injured or anybody else on either side of this. We have been encountering some interesting weapons out there. So again, please, as all of you are reporting, our community's watching this on television, big difference between the peaceful protesters and the individuals who are coming out with weapons to attack our folks, people on the street, or do a lot of damage to our buildings. And for the Sheriff's Department, we haven't been fully engaged like our partners at LAPD, although every day changes, and we're up to about 14 arrests. Something else I want to mention because it comes up, and that's the issue of mutual aid. As the sheriff, I am the mutual aid coordinator for Los Angeles County, and we are continuously working with our mutual aid partners. I'm in constant communication, and actually we have representatives from the California Office of Emergency Services who works directly for the governor, and we are coordinating efforts. We are checking on our different agencies, whether it be the California Highway Patrol, the LAPD, and others, about daily requirements for what's on the horizon and what that need will be. So we are coordinating these requests, asking for additional personnel, not always only to be deployed, but to be staged in strategic locations around this area to make sure that we are going to respond when our partners need us. And just to give you an idea, today's demonstrations, we have some that are planned in El Monte, here in the city of Los Angeles. The chief talked about that, the city of Cerritos, and the city of Industry, and others that may pop up as the day goes on. And it's not lost on us that we are all also monitoring the overseas activities regarding Israel and Iran. That impacts us. That alone, without everything else going on, would have kept us busy. We are making sure that we are working with our community partners and collaborating with them, and we will be providing more vigilance or patrols to other or many of our religious institutions or other facilities as we communicate with our partners in both communities, because they're concerned. There's a lot of anxiety there. For this weekend, at this time, I am aware of at least 40 different events here in Los Angeles County regarding the No King's Day event. And to be more specific, 40 events, but 30 of them are associated with the No Kings event. We also have several other large-scale events planned for the weekend here in the county of Los Angeles. We have Mexico against the Dominican Republic at SoFi Stadium Saturday night at 7 p.m. and then Paris versus Madrid in a soccer game as well at the Rose Bowl Sunday at noon. So just to let you know, we at the Sheriff's Department, like my partners, we're at about 170% over what we normally staff for a weekend, just to be prepared for everything that we're talking about. And I also want to mention the ongoing communication that is going on with all LA County chiefs. So every agency in LA County is fully aware of what's happening. I've been in communication with state sheriffs here in California, national law enforcement or major city chiefs across the country, because everyone's interested in what we're doing, what's working, and so on and so forth. So the chief and I have been very engaged there. LA County department heads, the Board of Supervisors, and contract cities, not to mention the National Guard, California Highway Patrol, and as I mentioned earlier, Cal OES. So with that, I will turn it over to our partner at CHP, who's going to give you a briefing on his account.
Deputy Commissioner Beauchamp.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it. Good afternoon, everyone. Currently, the California Highway Patrol is tracking over 200 protests that are scheduled throughout the state of California tomorrow. For this reason, we have activated 8 of our special response teams, which are specially trained officers, and they will all be activated working throughout the state of California tomorrow. Here in LA County, we are on tactical alert, and for us, what that means is all days off are canceled for all CHP officers. so that we can provide the highest level of safety and service to everyone here in Los Angeles County, and so that we're ready to stand with our law enforcement partners tomorrow in ensuring a safe events take place here in Los Angeles County. We are also going to be on active patrol throughout the entire state of California with all our CHP officers looking for areas of concern and ensuring that everyone remains safe during this time. Additionally, our officers are going to be dedicated and focused on ensuring the safety and those that visit state infrastructure, the state capitol, and wherever they may be throughout the state of California. We'll also have our CHP aircraft up, ensuring the safety of demonstrations and also for the safety of all law enforcement personnel. We're actively, even at this moment, coordinating with our law enforcement partners here in Los Angeles County, but also throughout the state of California, and additionally with California Office of Emergency Services. We stand ready and to assist any and all people who want to actively engage in their First Amendment rights. And we fully support those and believe in those. However, those that choose to obstruct movement, violate the law, vandalize property, we will respond swiftly and we will take decisive action to enforce the law. Thank you.
At this time, we'll go ahead and we're going to open it up for questions. Director Forkish will go ahead and let you know when you're up. Libor, go ahead.
Chief McDonnell, according to the department's own guidelines, the 40mm launcher is only supposed to be used in a narrow set of circumstances during protests. Yet social media is filled with videos of officers targeting protesters who aren't visibly resisting and sometimes at close range. Just wanted to ask you about if you can address any of these apparent policy violations, and what are you doing to ensure that the department is ignoring lessons learned from George Floyd, Echo Park, and the mega protests?
Thank you for the question. We're looking very closely at everything that's going on out there. We try and capture any video that's available, anything that certainly is of concern to the public. Those are investigated thoroughly, and we'll put together a full investigative package on those. Assess what we have. We look at the bigger picture as well as addressing individual cases. We'll look and see, are there training issues, are there tactics, are there less lethal issues that need to be addressed. So it'll be a comprehensive review when this is all done. Right now, we're in the middle of it. We capture all of the data that we can that will be able to help us figure what's going on down the road. But right now, we're in the middle of this, and to be able to talk about any specific case would be appropriate.
Let's go over here to PTLA. Hi, Chief.
I'm sorry.
We've seen Marines stationed outside of the federal building in Westwood. Can you talk about the coordination between local and federal law enforcement that's now in the area? Is there any kind of coordination happening between our local law enforcement and the federal authorities that have been called into the area?
Thank you for the question. The question was, is there any coordination between federal authorities and local authorities in the area, particularly as it relates to the deployment of Marines at the Westwood federal facility? I wouldn't call it coordination. We know where they are. We know that they are doing their mission, which is, as we're told, to support and protect federal employees, functions, and facilities. And so the Marines working together with the Army National Guard are in the same configuration, and their mission is the same. But their mission is not to work with us on the streets to maintain order, restore order, and keep everybody safe.
New York Times.
Hi, yeah, I just wanted to add on to the question that my colleague over there asked. So videos do show instances of protesters with being shot with 40mm sponge bullets, even when they're retreating from police, using a horse to trample a protester on the ground. Using a horse to trample a protester on the ground, using batons when protesters are not resisting, and these are all actions apparently against LAPD guidance. Protesters have also been struck in the head with 40mm sponge bullets despite agency guidance that prohibits aiming at the head. So what does LAPD say to the allegation it's using excessive force against protesters, and is any investigation being planned into that use of force in the wake of the protests? And how is information being collected on that use of force?
Say the last part.
How is information being collected on this use of force? You mentioned that you're looking at it closely. How specifically are you doing that?
Yeah, each case that we become aware of, officers are required to notify a supervisor. The supervisor then conducts an ongoing investigation where circumstances allow, if not directly after that. We capture what we can as far as body-worn cameras, as far as cameras in the environment that they're in. You talk about that incident with the horse. The horse didn't trample the person. They were walking around it from what we can determine with other video that we've seen. However, that's not a completed investigation. As far as the deployment of 40 millimeters, yeah, we don't aim at the head. They're target specific, and you know, we do the best we can under very difficult circumstances, hold our people to a very high level of accountability, but it's a very chaotic, dynamic situation out there. Will there be lessons learned? Certainly. You know, we will do a thorough investigation on each case like that we become aware of and become better each day.
Do you know the number of those cases at this point?
The
number of those reports that people have looked into on the ground, your officers have looked into?
I would say there's probably in excess of 10 that we're looking at currently. 10. I don't know that exactly.
Thank you. Reuters?
Chief, can you tell us how many, or if the National Guard and Marines have been involved in detentions or arrests of their officers, and is there anything you can tell us about 90 minutes ago we saw Marines detain someone at the Wilshire building? Is there anything you can tell us about that?
Yeah, I don't know about that, what you described 90 minutes ago. Generally, their ability to detain, as I understand it, is to only detain very briefly in the immediacy, and then federal agents who are working with them with the detention, arrest, if appropriate, or any other less lethal use of force or whatever it is they're going to be dealing with. The agents, I believe, are the primary folks out there doing the enforcement action, and the Army National Guard and the Marines are there in support to protect them and doing that.
They haven't been involved with any detentions with your officers?
No, they haven't, to my knowledge at all, and that's not part of their role or our role to do that with them.
Sid, go ahead.
Approximately, if you have numbers, how many people you're expecting in the city, say at Grand Park and
Over to our fire department expert on the medical response.
Your fire department is remaining to lean forward in times like this. So what we do, compile and deploy medical task forces to go out into the target area to assist medical aid for those that are ill and injured. So we started with 5 of those task forces. Those would be an engine and an ambulance that would be able to rapidly enter into the target area where the problem is, assist medical aid to those who need it, and retreat back. It's important to mention that wouldn't be possible without the outstanding partnership from our law enforcement. So they offer us force protection. So every morning at 9 o'clock, we get these task forces together. We go over an operations brief of where the area is, what they're going to be doing. We are led in by law enforcement to ensure protection that allows firefighters and paramedics to render that medical aid. And now we've upped that quantity of 5 to 7. So 5 of those would be medical and 2 would be for fire. So we're prepared for both. Mostly what we're seeing is medical in origin, but we do handle fires as necessary. Over the weekend, that number will exceed beyond 7, but we've yet to determine that. And lastly, we also have an advanced provider unit. And the unique aspect of that is not just a paramedic on that ambulance, it is a nurse practitioner and also a physician assistant. The benefit of that, if there's a mass quantity of people injured at one time or a large quantity, some of them will state medical needs. Well, these nurse practitioners them to the hospital if their medical complaint is minor. The benefit is that frees up our ambulances to continue to help throughout the whole Los Angeles area, and it doesn't clog up your hospital and emergency rooms.
All right, next up is Jeff Wynn over here.
To the chief or the sheriff, chances are a lot of families will be bringing their children to the demonstrations tomorrow. In terms of like staging your officers and your deputies, what is that going to look like to ensure that families are safe during this time? And I also recognize that things are very different during daylight versus nightfall as well.
Yeah, we're as I mentioned, I won't talk about specific numbers, but we're very heavily deployed. Our hope is that creates a presence that is calming to children, to parents who are out there with their families, and we're there to support them. We're there to meet whatever their needs are as best we can.
Sure.
Alex, go ahead.
If I could add to that as well, I think, again, big difference between protesters and demonstrators, and people who are coming out to cause problems. So, and as I talk to what I consider to be legitimate protesters, I'm talking about trying to get away from people. If you see somebody reaching into a backpack and pulling out a sledgehammer, pulling out a brick, pulling out pyrotechnics, pulling out a Molotov cocktail, these are the things our officers and deputies are being attacked with. You need to get away from that, or enforcement know, because when those tactics are being deployed, they really dilute the protest and its message. So if we can ask the public to help us, notify us when those things start happening, and get away from folks like that. They are not there to peacefully protest. They are not there to send a legitimate message. They are there to do damage. They are there to hurt people. So we need to separate that, and it's a very minor percentage of folks. I'm going to say it's less than 1% of the total numbers.
Richard?
Chief McDonnell, you've written that having military, having troops in Los Angeles presents a quote significant logistical and operational challenge. Could you be more specific about what those challenges are?
Yeah, sure. Generally speaking, this is a very, to me, an unprecedented event where you have military personnel deployed into a city where it hasn't been done in coordination and request by the local authorities. When that's the case, we always meet, we're working toward the same goals and aims, we have the same mission. In this case, we have different missions, and so the lack of communication or minimal communication and really not knowing what their role will be if certain situations involve.
Have you reached out to them? I mean, the communication is minimal. Have you tried to get in touch
We have.
with them?
We've been in touch with them.
Okay.
Yesterday, we had a meeting to be able to develop a working relationship moving forward and some communication. So we were very happy to be able to do that, and we will continue to keep that door open and as best we can to be able to share information with the idea of keeping everybody safe, keeping their folks safe, all of our folks safe, and certainly everybody who turns out to these events over the next however many days.
Alex, MEC?
Yeah, Chief, just kind of along those lines, how many times have you talked with the military leadership, and can the public have confidence that if a situation presents itself where their collaboration is required, that these two, that the federal agencies and local and state are going to work together?
Yeah, we've had, there's been a couple of calls set up. On some of those calls, the senior leadership have been involved in that. Yesterday, Sheriff Boone and I met with the senior leadership as well, and I feel confident that from their perspective, they are there to be able to keep the peace, to be able to ensure that everybody stays safe. And certainly that's the foundation of all we do, is to keep everybody in the city and county of Los Angeles safe. And as we mentioned, they're able to exercise their First Amendment rights, but to hold those accountable who are trying to hurt others for their actions.
All right, let's go. Last question. Go ahead.
Pardon, this may be an ignorant question, but who determines when a protest is an unlawful assembly must be dispersed, and why is it being done when there's been no seeming attacks on police or anything like that, and well before curfew has gone? Like last night, I was the one that was declared, and the protesters were forced to disperse.
Yeah, it's generally done, the question is, we didn't hear it, when do we declare an unlawful assembly? Generally, there's a precipitating event such as officers taking rocks, bottles, missiles, that kind of a thing. Once assaultive behavior starts, in order to be able to keep everybody safe, then we declare an unlawful assembly, which is a vehicle to be able to help move people from the area, and those who refuse to are subject to arrest.
But they've been declared when there's been nothing like that. I mean, absolutely so.
But I'd have to get more detail on that, but that's generally the reason we do it, when things are becoming unsafe. As long as people in the environment are protesting or exercising their First Amendment rights in a peaceful manner, we just there to facilitate that. But when it changes and it gets dangerous, that's when we exercise our ability to be able to move the crowd, and then, if necessary, make arrests.
All right, thank you, everyone. We'll have remarks in Spanish next up at the podium.
Police officer Rosario Savant will come up and provide Spanish.
La Policía de Los Ángeles estamos completamente preparados para la protesta nacional de este sábado. Habrá suficientes oficiales para proteger la seguridad pública. Desde el domingo y el lunes pasado, hemos arrestado a 200 personas. También tenemos el toque de queda, que es muy importante que todos sepan que es de las 8 de la noche hasta las 6 de la mañana. Este toque de queda es muy importante para evitar los crímenes que están ocurriendo en la noche. Estamos trabajando con la patrulla de carretera, con los alguaciles y con los bomberos aquí de Los Ángeles, y estamos trabajando juntos para resolver estos problemas que están ocurriendo en la ciudad. No vamos a tolerar cualquier tipo de crimen. Establecimos que no vamos a tolerar que dañen a las propiedades, dañen a otras personas, especialmente que dañen a los oficiales. Si hacen esto, van a ser arrestados. Les pedimos a las personas que estén aquí pacíficamente y respetuosamente. Estamos aquí para la comunidad. Gracias.
Any questions in Spanish? Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you all. Please